Zion United Church, a stately and majestic presence on Main Street in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan for more than 100 years. Join us on the journey through time, encompassing a century. The year was 1883, and it was still early in the settlement of the Canadian prairies. The Methodist Church was one of the first churches to arrive and establish itself in Moose Jaw. The first church services of the Zion was held in the waiting room of the CPR depot for the congregation of a few dozen people. As the congregation grew and Moose Jaw was a thriving center on its way to possibly being the capital city of the newly forming province, the Methodists decided that a large prairie cathedral was appropriate. Reverend Chedwing and now 400 Zion members accepted the task. 3 lots were purchased on Main Street in the heart of downtown Moose Jaw, and in 1906, work began on the building. Architect James Chisholm was selected. The building contract was awarded to A.J. Toy of Winnipeg for the grand sum of $64,000. Additional electrical and plumbing costs brought the total to $80,000. The impressive Cassavant organ was purchased for $5,000, and the solid oak pews, seating more than 1,000, were added for the final $5,000. Completed 1 year later in 1907, Zion's congregation owned the most architecturally imposing building in the city, and the church was also established in the center of many of the community's activities. It has remained so to this day. Streetcar tracks were laid on Main Street in 1913, and water lines shortly thereafter. The street was wide and expansive, like many Moose Jaw streets of the time. Zion reigned supreme during the 1920s. The city flourished. It is said that Al Capone was a regular visitor, traveling on the rail line from Chicago. There were many powerful families, like Zion's Graysons, and Moose Jaw was the prairie center for culture and was also the center for those less spoken of activities that took place on River Street. In 1925, Zion gladly entered into the Union of Presbyterian, Congregationalist, and Methodist churches, which formed the United Church of Canada. Since then, it has borne the name Zion United Church. After the growth and wealth of the 1920s, Zion experienced the depression for the 1930s and the severe drought that precipitated and accompanied it. These were lean and difficult years for Zion, but the church was maintained and kept through the faith and labor of the congregation members. Church services provided a time of worship and uplifting music for the community, and a chance to rise above their fears and troubles. It also deepened connections and fellowship, as the city looked to help its own. Chinese immigrants were welcomed by the folks at Zion and became active in the church's civic work and also in its mission in Asia. The 1940s were marked by the loss of Zion's sons and daughters in the long years of World War II. As in the earlier Great War, the church again became the focus for community bonding in times of concern. Throughout Zion's first 50 years, the building was home to many groups. Basic church activities included junior and senior choirs, bell choirs, Sunday school, and UCW, United Church Women. Church suppers drew in local citizens. Youth programs included Explorers, Messengers, CGIT, Christian Girls in Training, and Zion's very successful trophy-winning hockey team. Adults were engaged in square dancing, quilters group, craft sessions, and golden hours groups. The church had a lending library with thousands of titles. Zion's legacy to the community has also been notable. The perfect acoustics of the sanctuary made it the venue of choice in Moose Jaw for many musical performances and concerts. The local acting troupes had a place to put on their plays and musicals. Festivals of music and of stage plays drew people from around the province and even further afield. Zion hosted the Von Trapp family and the popular pianist Frank Mills in their heydays. Life in Moose Jaw went along smoothly for Zion until the 1970s. As the church prepared to host a large celebration for their 90th anniversary as a congregation, structural defects were discovered as the wood beneath the plaster began to crumble. There was a major concern the dome would fall. The congregation vacated the building in 1975 and undertook a major renovation to add the first steel to the building in the form of 4 major columns going from the basement up to the 4 corners of the dome. Once again, Zion reopened its doors, updated and safe. Considering their age and the extremes of climate the windows are exposed to, Zion's stained glass has survived remarkably well. However, it was necessary beginning in 1985 to repair specific sections. Both the city and the church recognized the importance of the building, and in short order Zion was declared a heritage building for Saskatchewan. This allowed Zion to qualify for special funding and gave them access to expert craftsmen. The most significant was Ed Schaefer, whose skill in restoration and preservation of stained glass was a godsend. Years of dust required that the dome be vacuumed, that each piece be scrubbed, and that the final step was polishing. Some glass pieces needed to be refitted, and lead was replaced, along with iron supporting bars. The panel windows on the walls were buckling and needed attention. This was a huge task and required several years and much effort. Rebuilding or replacement value of the stained glass at Zion would top $250,000. The most recent restoration work was done in 1993, when the organ console was replaced by Casavant at a cost of $90,000. The visible pipes are fully voiced, and there are 1,800 other working pipes in the chamber behind. The wind chamber has also been updated. Zion certainly understands the large monetary costs necessary when one undertakes heritage restoration projects. Zion is the only church of its kind in Western Canada. It had a sister Methodist cathedral church in Winnipeg, which was destroyed by fire. Zion's building is Romanesque in style, but its outer facade is modeled on the Pantheon, the ancient Roman structure with its dominant features of Doric pillars and a crowning dome. The Pantheon, or Place of the Gods, was the only structure for worship of the deities in Roman antiquity. You enter Zion through the pillars, which form a major Moose Jaw landmark. Two beautiful wide stairways lead to the narthex. Notice the beautiful handcrafted oak banister. The wood was shipped from a mill in Quebec, which had the most highly regarded and best quality hardwood of the day. Zion is home to 5 beautiful examples of century-old painted glass windows. The Good Samaritan window is notable for its detail, facial expressions, clothing, natural landscape, and a glimpse of Jericho in the distance. The Boy Shepherd window commemorates young Zion member Herbie Bellamy, who passed away at age 12. Despite his own physical handicaps and illnesses, he actively raised money for an orphanage overseas. The window continues to remind the church of the value of children in our midst and the role of the church as protecting shepherd. Once inside the sanctuary, you see the curved design and placement of the pews. Methodists believe that all are equal before their God, so no one seating area is predominant. The windows in the sanctuary are true stained glass, a technique that takes specifically cut pieces of glass and joins them together with lead, forming the intricate designs, symbols, and imagery we see here. There are 20 windows to be seen, set in groupings of panels that are 7.5 feet tall and 3.5 feet wide. There are 10 on the north side of the church and 10 on the south, with panels both on the main level and the gallery level. This amounts to 570 square feet of stained glass. Each panel contains hundreds of pieces of glass, bringing the total number of glass piece segments in these windows to 13,600. Each window has the same border of green and violet, with gold glass jewel inserts. The top of each window has a floral motif symbolizing eternal life. Follow down the window to the stylized white lily, representing the resurrection rising from the blood red of the crucifixion. The lower part of each window contains one of 4 well-known Christian symbols. The Roman cross is in white, and the Protestant tradition is empty. IHS is the monogram for Jesus, as it represents the first 3 letters of his name in Greek, Iota, Eta, and Sigma. Both these symbols are set in royal blue glass. The crown, again set in deep blue, represents a kingdom won through suffering. The anchor sign was borrowed from the Egyptians. It has a secret cross shape and represents steadfast faith. Now is the time to let your eye be drawn upward to the spectacular centerpiece of Zion Sanctuary, its dome. The stained glass of the dome rises 45 feet above floor level and is composed of 25 separate panels. This exquisite work of art is 17 feet in diameter with a walk-around circumference of 53 feet. In total, 4,800 individual pieces of glass were incorporated in the dome. While it is sometimes assumed that the dome glass forms part of the roof of the building, it is actually housed in a large room. The outer dome of the building is actually 15 feet above the glass, and the dome room is 45 feet square. Sunday school groups and their friends look forward to a lifetime thrill of being invited to tour the dome room at a certain place in their program. The walls are full of hundreds of signatures of brave youth willing to climb the attic ladder into this heavenly space. The glass of the dome centerpiece weighs more than 1,000 pounds and would cost more than $100,000 to remove and rebuild using the existing glass. In total, Zion contains 3,468 pounds of glass and lead, made up of 22,000 individual glass pieces. It is truly a splendid prairie wonder. Zion Church continues to be at the heart of the Moose Jaw community. As home to strong and vibrant congregation, Zion offers its beautiful sanctuary for weddings, baptisms, and for funerals and celebrations of life. The Zion Choir provides an anthem for every service, and there are several music groups that complement the organ, performing preludes and occasional hymn support, string ensemble, brass and woodwind ensemble, and musicians who play piano, guitar, and drums. Zion offers its space as a concert hall under the dome to many artistic events and festivals. The Moose Jaw Music Festival has its home here, as does the Choral and Band Festival. Young people throughout the area are privileged to perform their repertoire to adjudicators. Local families and businesses support the festival with scholarships awarded to deserving students. For example, the Grayson family, still the largest law firm in town, gave a major scholarship awarded on their behalf by a new partner. The excellent acoustics also bring in touring groups like the Crimson String Quartet. A particular note is its use made of the facility each December as the Rotary Club hosts the Rotary Carol Festival, a 69-year tradition showcasing individuals, choirs, and ensembles of all ages from Moose Jaw and area in a celebration of music, song, and friendship. Music remains the heart and soul of the building. Another group making Zion its home is the Cantabile Connection, the prestigious community choir of the town, made up of local business people and public servants. They have traveled throughout Canada bringing their beautiful sounds to a variety of venues. Their formation matches an Aboriginal soundscape, a traditional repertoire, or something expertly accompanied by a local orchestra. They are regularly invited to Ottawa on Canada Day to sing the national anthem on Parliament Hill. The Heart of the City program is much renowned and emulated. It provides free piano instruction to needy students and the opportunity to perform with a drum circle. Zion's central location on Main Street in downtown Moose Jaw provides a backdrop for the Summer Sidewalk Days event. See here as a stilt artist performs her magic, while the church was host to Art in the Church, featuring the work of those creative talents in the Moose Jaw Art Guild. 15 Wing, the National Pilot and Military Flight Training Facility, draws these weekends to a close with a flight aerobatic display overhead. Zion is host to a variety of other groups. A display of nativity scenes from around the world draws visitors. Auctions help to raise money for community projects. The food bank program, Hunger in Moose Jaw, provides more than 100 food baskets for healthy eating for low-income people twice a month, using Zion as its base. Sparks, guides, and brownies cavort in our social hall, and costumes come out on Halloween. Zion was home to the first brownie troupe in Canada. Zion is interesting to tourists who pass through, and church volunteers provide tours of the building. Here a Rotary group from Sweden engage in questions as they learn about the history of the church. And the church has become the hot chocolate and cookie destination each year, as the Santa Claus Parade ends its route just a few meters past the front of Zion, ending up at the equally historic building, the Grayson House, now home to Fifth Avenue Collection jewelry. Chilly bodies come through the big Zion front doors and down into the warmth of the social hall, where they are served refreshments by the mayor and the local members of parliament. Zion is home for social justice organizations, hosting local and provincial meetings of Amnesty International. It also hosts public events like this major conference on water for the Council of Canadians. Literary moments are also brought to life at Zion. The Saskatchewan Festival of Words uses Zion's facilities as hundreds of spectators can be accommodated. As well, Moose Jaw and Zion played host in recent months to the inaugural week of Reading Town Canada, put on by the National Reading Campaign. Zion hosted reading glens in both the social hall and the sanctuary and welcomed flash mobs of readers. But in the end, it is the music that is the heart and soul of Zion. The year is now 2014. Zion is 108 years old and her body needs extra maintenance and refurbishing. In fact, the building needs a major restoration in order to stand in majesty for another century. The Zion Council has authorized and completed several projects to prepare for our major work. We began with power washing the exterior wall surface and refurbishing eaves troughs and downspouts, which had been plugged and mismatched. They are functional now and aesthetically uniform. In addition, we learned about our problems. Under the portico, there has been significant damage to the wood. Repointing a stone is needed, as well as replacement of the right side cornice. Lights have been replaced and cleaned. Zion contracted for thermal imaging to be done to identify concerns about uneven heat throughout the building. In this external shot, it is minus 20 degrees Celsius outside, a regular winter day in Moose Jaw, and the heat loss shown in red is massive. Here you could see cold infiltration along the stairwell, and finally a single pane of glass on the south side. Same day shows the window reading -1 degree, and the radiator nearby registers +100 degrees. This causes many areas of dew point damage. Cold water and warm water collide, they rise as moist air, and this peels the paint and plaster. Zion is currently doing an efficiency test with rigid foil back insulation to determine how well this moderates temperature. Indications so far are that this tactic, along with new windows, will work. You are now inside the dome room. The first thing to notice is the amazing stained glass construction. As well, you see the structural corrections made in the 1970s to prevent the collapse of the dome. The pigeon tells us that the envelope is not adequately sealed. The engineering plan for the future includes wrapping the glass in insulation and adding lights. This will be part of the attic restoration, to seal and create a barrier of insulation, hopefully avoiding heat infiltration in summer and heat loss in winter. Looking up, you see that the dome structure woodwork is still in wonderful shape. Notice corrections made during the years to ensure structural integrity. The floor needs repair and insulation will be added, with insulation blankets around the glass dome. Quotes are in to upgrade light fixtures and to replace conduit and wiring. In the sanctuary, the dew point problem is obvious. The destruction of internal walls is rampant. There is a problem with thermal bridging, and cold travels along internal beams. A necessary and major future task involves the placing of insulation fully through the building between outer brick and inner walls. This will involve taking off all interior wood panels to get into the space. Then it will all need to be reinstalled. The narthex and foyer walls show damage and peeling paint. Here the surfaces are being prepared for new painting. Zion's property committee also uses volunteer labor attempting to repair surface damage on an ongoing basis. When the various areas receive the new coat of paint, they will reclaim the warmth and the beauty of the interior. However, within a year or two, this is what you will see at the same spot. The social hall and kitchen will require major updating so they can meet appropriate building codes. And last but not least, there are only 2 washrooms in the original structure. Updating and increasing the number of washrooms is critical while addressing the low water pressure and lack of fans and venting. The situation becomes even more of a concern when there are hundreds attending an event.